All right, a very pleasant morning to everyone, and thank you so much for joining me in today's session. My name is Nicholas, and I'm the Senior Customer Consultant from Elsevier. And today I'll be sharing with you on how you can manage your author profiles better on Scopus over here at USM. So in today's session, I'll be walking through 5 key components. What is new with Scopus? How author profiles actually work? How author profiles are able to showcase research, how one can collaborate both internationally and within Malaysia, and how you can create an ORCID ID. I think all of these are very important things that you need to focus on with regards to your author profiles. So we'll go into more detail subsequently. So first and foremost, this session is recorded, so you receive a copy of the recording, and I'll be sharing the slides together over with Chik Ramla. So you get a copy of both the presentation and the slides. So first and foremost, I'd like to update you on what Scopus is. So not all of you may know what Scopus is about. So let me take this opportunity to introduce what the platform can do. Scopus is the world's largest abstract and indexing citation database, and we have over 90 million records from over 95,000 affiliation profiles, 17 million author profiles from 1.7 billion cited references, and over 20 million open access items. Scopus essentially is a very strong, expertly curated ANI database with a very powerful search, which covers global content, metrics, APIs, as well as structured data. So how Scopus, the use cases of Scopus will be very myriad, and it can be very extensive. If you're an early career researcher, I would highly encourage you to be able to leverage all these different tools, because within Scopus, you're able to get journal, article, and author level metrics. You're able to go deeper into research profiles. You're able to get organizational profiles. The content on Scopus is expertly curated, so it's very rare and seldom that you have any sources of misinformation, if any at all. We have a very strong structured search and in-product analytics and very strong data exports as well as APIs. How Scopus is able to get all this information is because we work together with over 5,000 publishers globally, so we are able to aggregate the publication data. We have built-in funding data, PlumX for alt metrics, preprint server data, Medline data, as well as unpaywall data. And we have some very strong technological aspects with regards to this. Via the content selection and advisory board, we're able to leverage on big data technology. We're able to leverage on machine learning, semantic technology, natural language processing, entity resolution, as well as advanced data science. All of this aggregate together in a very strong and very thorough way so that you're actually able to get the information which you're looking for. So as a result, what researchers are able to do would be to support themselves through their careers. Advanced researchers, students, instructors, faculty, editors, team leads are able to access trusted content. They're able to access their own author profile, their own organizational profiles, as well as to get intuitive access. So Scopus allows you to search, filter, and to refine surface insights within your research workflows. You can power your research network and advance your careers through researcher profiles, which is what we'll be talking about primarily today with regards to author profiles. Organizational profiles will be able to showcase to you surface expertise and to inform your analysis. And this is a curated, multidisciplinary, current global content, which can inspire confidence because the information is peer-reviewed and scientifically accurate. What Scopus is doing is to continuously improve it. We are trying to optimize our speed. We're trying to make it easier to use. We are trying to showcase research signals and highlighting discovery as well as analysis as well. So what we are able to do is that through the powerfully linked data, which is disambiguated and connected to key research entities as well as individual profiles, researchers are able to get evidence, right? And they're able to conduct evidence-based research. They're able to evaluate organization by helping faculty, team leads, librarians, and administrators to get reports, assessments, and analysis with ease and confidence. The Content Selection Advisory Board is a third-party team that we collaborate and we work with. They are all journal editors, and they are the ones who ascertain which journals are of good enough quality to be indexed within Scopus. This is why they're actually very strong and they're very important, because they are actually key to our capability in curating data set from various sources with very strict reassessment policies. The research landscape analysis will inform policies for organizational hierarchies with very strong disambiguation technology for author as well as organizational names, and constantly we strive to target for completeness and correctness to continuously improve. The assessment of research landscape would then be able to target new data types for integration. So it's very key, right? Because Scopus itself is an intuitive platform with trusted content and robust search and analytics to help your community and yourself to progress and to evaluate research activity. As a teaching tool, next generation of researchers will be able to obtain information, improve their information literacy, as well as sensitization to subject-specific and cross-disciplinary research. In terms of you as a researcher, you're able to support your career growth and development by increasing the visibility of your work, of yourself, of your support collaboration to improve your networking and your career development with trusted researcher profiles, showcasing and highlighting an array of metrics and indicators. We are also able to help you to signal your impact, because now you're able to get a comprehensive view of your research output or your potential collaborators' output. You can see the engagement which you and your collaborators are generating. And this gives you a very clear, transparent evaluation using an array of journal, article, and researcher metrics. This is something I'll highlight multiple times in today's session, and I'll walk you through on how you're actually able to leverage on data, on metrics, to make yourself much more visible, to showcase and to highlight your impact in a better way than ever before. Scopus, of course, is the gold standard. We generate the data and we customize it for QS University rankings, as well as Times Higher Education World University rankings. Within Southeast Asia, we work very closely with Thailand Citation Index, with Nanyang Technological University over in Singapore. From a broader APAC perspective, we work very closely with Beijing University in China, Shanghai Jiao Tong University, the NRF in Korea, Keio University in Japan, and of course, globally, we work together with OECD, Université Paris-Saclay, the EDA, the National Science Foundation, the World Bank, etc. And so what you're here for today is to find out more about how author profiles work. And I want to showcase to you how Scopus, which is highlighting the premier source of profiles, are able to generate the information which you're looking at. So Scopus has over approximately about 17 million author profiles and over 70,000 affiliation profiles. We are the only database which implements algorithmic and systematic author disambiguation with a high accuracy to create and to maintain precise and complete profiles. We also know that we are not always 100% accurate, which is why we have a very strong author feedback wizard, which you can leverage on to make changes. So what we are doing is that we have leveraged on state-of-the-art technology together with comprehensive manual curated knowledge base to profile authors and organizations. So now you're able to understand who is researching what and where with a greater accuracy than ever before as compared to any other database. And this will give you a very strong, invaluable data for strategic decision making. So how Scopus comes about doing this is that we leverage on a very strong foundation. With a very strong, comprehensive, and curated set of scholarly information from all around the world, by working together with over 5,000 publishers, by aggregating over 80 million articles from over 200,000 books, we break them down into very granular details, and we build it upwards as well. So by leveraging on natural language processing and state-of-the-art disambiguation technology, we are able to generate very strong Scopus author profiles. How this actually happens is that, for instance, when we work together with publishers, they would submit their journals to be indexed within Scopus. It's only of a certain quality before the journal is allowed to be indexed. And what happens is that the publishers would always submit updated copies of these journals to Scopus. And from this journal, individual journals, we'll go through each and every single abstract, as well as indexing. We'll extract the data. We'll break it down into 60 different fields, including authors, organization name, author first name, author last name, the citations, right? And then from there on, we'll build it upwards as well. So Scopus author profiles are being generated from documents in terms of a bottom-up approach. And what we have done is that we are trying to distinguish one author from another, right? Because it's very obvious to find like multiple Dr. Smiths around. Within China, within Malaysia, this can happen very common as well. And one anecdote that I was particularly interested to find out was that we had two German authors with the exact same name within the exact same institution from the same faculty working on in the same topic, research topic itself. So that was a particularly, well, what are the chances of that, right? But it could happen. And this is why we're emphasizing very strongly on being able to manage your own author profile via your own Scopus author profile via ORCID. So it's easier for you to distinguish yourself from the other, right? We go through this in more detail later. I will probably encourage you to ask any questions that you have in the chat box and the Q&A box. Within the live session, I'll demonstrate later. I'll leverage on some of the examples you're sharing with me, and I'll run you through how you can make changes and tweaks accordingly. So within the author disambiguation, right, and this is common, you'll probably be able to find, like, say, there'll be 30 authors with Olivier Bernard. There'll be about 62,000 authors with the name A. Williams and about 25,000 with S. Chen. So one thing I would encourage people to do is to always write their names in full. Please put in your last name where it should be and your first name where it should be as well. I think that's one thing which I will strongly emphasize. So the Scopus author identifier uses very strong algorithmic data processing to group papers to an individual's profile with a high degree of accuracy based on the matching of name, email, affiliation, subject areas, citation, co-authors, etc. The author feedback wizard is also available for you to make changes because we know that our disambiguation technology is not always 100% accurate, especially when it comes to common names, especially when it comes to name changes, and also incomplete metadata from publishers itself, right? So how author profiles are being managed is that we leverage on the algorithmic updates. We leverage on manual feedback. We use manual and automated feedback through ORCID. We leverage on pure profile refinement services. Sometimes we work with consortia and government agencies for one-off updates. And we also have Scopus Cyber updates as well. So why are author profiles so important and crucial? I think this is actually a very good way to have a perspective with regards to it. So if you are a researcher, right, sometimes you want to be hired. Sometimes you want to apply for grants. Sometimes you want to demarcate and showcase that you're the top researcher itself, right? Because at the end of the day, what you're looking to achieve is that you need people to read your articles. You need people to also cite your articles. You want your collaborators to find out where you're from, and you want people to know how many papers that you're generating and the citations in which you're receiving as well. So in terms of a research administration perspective, if you want to be hired, you want to showcase why you should be hired. You want to know, like, separate yourself, like how you compare with others, how you should be promoted, and how you can get more funding for you to pursue the projects in which you're looking to get. You're also looking to get grants as well. And you will want to convince funders that this is why, and this is what you have done to achieve, to convince them to give you the grant for you to do your research, because you need to showcase and to highlight the good work in which you have done. You also may want to work and to source out other collaborators and other researchers. If you want to identify potential collaborators, are they the right people that you should be working with? Should you be reading their research articles? You will probably want to know their areas of research, and you also want to compare yourself with them, and maybe you can invite them to be peer reviewers for other work as well. But you do realize that the vice versa also can occur, because they also will be leveraging on Scopus to find out more about you. They want to know, are you a good fit for them with regards to their projects? They want to know your area of research, if it's complementary to theirs. They want to know if you will be a good partner, right? So author profiles are very strong indicator and platform in which you want to highlight and to showcase yourself and to identify your potential collaborators to work with too. How author profiles can showcase research, right? So there are a few ways to do so. I will encourage you first and foremost to go to scopus.com. When you start exploring, sometimes you can look for a topic and then you can add a Boolean operator and then you can add in an author name in which you know is a subject matter expert within the field itself. So if I'm looking for COVID-19, I'm looking for what Professor Fauci is working. This is one way in which I could do so. The more common approach will be to search directly for the author if you know his or her name. Another way you can do so is to search for their ORCID name ID itself as well. One way I like to do is to also look through Scopus Affiliation. So when I go through the Scopus Affiliation, I can identify this is some of the authors that I may want to read up more about. This is one way you can do so. So looking at USM, Scopus profiles are unique representation of an author. You can see identifiers, research output, and metrics. So under Professor Fung, what we can see that is that he has an author ID, which is the number that you see over here. I will encourage you, if you have any changes that you like to make and to follow up with, this is the ORCID ID. The one in green is the ORCID ID. And of course, under here, when you select View More, there will be a drop-down box to showcase your affiliation as well. You can see an author's profile by identifying the research output over time. You can see the subject area coverage. You can also identify the author's H index, i.e. the quality of work he or she have produced through time. You can look at the citations in which they have been able to garner. You'll be able to look through topics. I'll go through all of this in more detail as we come along. So Scopus, as we mentioned earlier, has been continuously updating through time. Preprints are one example because preprints, and one thing which we discovered very crucially, right, when COVID-19 broke out, there was a lot of, no one knew anything about COVID-19 as of 2020. So people needed to know, people who are doing research, they needed to cope and to respond immediately. So that showcases the value of preprints because that is cutting edge research. Sometimes you don't have time to wait for the research to be fully published. You want to know more about the papers, right? And if you know the author is trustworthy, maybe this is one way that you can take a look into to identify and to see whether or not this might be a topic of interest and if it's of value to your research itself, right? So we know and recognize the value of preprints. We know it's important to get a comprehensive overview. And sometimes this also helps funding agencies to monitor progress and to broaden the opportunity for comments as well. So in phase one, we had about 600,000 preprints from arXiv, bioRxiv, and chemarXiv, which has enriched over 1 million author profiles. We also included preprints from SSRN. And when it's being added to Scopus, you can see that the preprints are separate from the curated published content, right? Because preprints have not been finalized, they have not been officially been published yet as a final manuscript, as an accepted manuscript. So you actually can't put it within the author profile, so we have to demarcate it separately. And this is why you can find the preprints under the preprints tab itself. You can also find awarded grants, and we realize that grants is something becoming more of a concern and an issue, right? Because we know that researchers are, especially within Malaysia, you have the mandate to basically be able to find out and to leverage on industry level research. So being able to search for grants is a good indicator of focus and insights into a success with a particular funder. The grants are available from select US federal funders as of 2021. We are expanding it around the time from 2022. Awarded grants are clearly separated from curated published content as well. Affiliation history is really cool because one researcher just doesn't stay with one institution throughout the time. Affiliations in Scopus are the connections between the authors and the institutions. We can see that they are extracted from documents. And one thing that happens is that it shows where the author was when a document is published. So we know that current affiliation is based on the most recent publication, but this would also be different from current employment. So if you select show all the author information, this will showcase the full affiliation profile with the year range when an author was writing from a very specific institution. So in this case, Professor Dominic Luis da Silva, he studied in Cambridge. He was working there. Then he also worked in Max Planck University. He went to UCal. He went to California Institute of Technology, University of Alberta. He was back in Cambridge and also published some papers in Harvard University as well. So this is something I would encourage you to do. If you want to update your profile, there are two ways to do it. One is the author profile wizard. Another thing which you could also do would be to make sure that you updated your latest publication as well. Another one which I wanted to talk about would be topics. I think topics is really exciting. It's something which I'm interested in. I think it showcases a lot of information. So topics essentially are a collection of documents with a common focus intellectual interests. They're based on clustering the citation network of Scopus content, and they are very dynamic as well. Each document on the author profile is assigned to a topic, right? The author's 3 most contributed topics are indicated there, and there's a full list of topics in which an author contributes to the topics tab. You can select on the title of the topics to open a panel which showcases additional detail, like what are the representative documents on the topic as well as the top authors, and you can also conduct further topic analysis in SciVal. So topics is really cool. I think it showcases the key subject areas in which the author is very strong in, because sometimes when you say that you're in mathematics, we don't know which area of mathematics you are. But thanks to our disambiguation technology, we're able to pinpoint it more specifically, and we also showcase the other top papers within the subject area, as well as the top authors. So not only are you able to showcase your work better, your uniqueness better, you're also able to work together with other authors within the similar subject area. And this also gives you a good pathway for collaboration as well. Yes, topics work a bit similar to keywords because what happens is that within a citation, within an abstract itself, we'll break it down by the keywords. The keywords will generate the topics accordingly. So that's a very good question. Yeah, it works. We leverage it based on the metadata that we are passing through. So another way which you can also do, I will encourage all of you to do so, is that if there is an author in which you're interested in, or for instance, you want to monitor your own author profile, you can simply set an alert for yourself, right? You can request author notifications when new documents appear in Scopus or when the work received new citations. So this is something which you could do. You can set it. You can set it every week on a Friday. You can set the document alert. This is something which I would encourage you to do so if you like to monitor your author profile much more actively. You can also create lists of authors. And also one more thing, when you receive a citation, right, as an early career researcher, this is interesting and this is good for you because now you're able to see who else is leveraging on your work, who else is reading your work, and this also may be a good bridge, right, for you to reach out to collaborate with them if they are interested in your work. So something like this is additional food for thought that you might want to consider as well. So you may want to create lists of authors as well, right? Login users are able to serve authors to their list. So this is useful to keep tabs on specific authors and for analysis. Authors can be added from the author results page, the author's details page, the co-author tab, the author list, and via potential author matches, which may not be shown. You're also able to access lists as well, right? So you're able to go into Scopus, look into the profile, look at the saved list, and then this is where you can actually manage this accordingly. You can look at the group analytics. So you have different authors in different categories. Metrics are grouped for the entire list of authors. So you can see the output and the impact of the entire group. You can see the group documents, the group total citations, the group references, the group H index, as well as the co-authors, right? So this would be analytics, which I think might be particularly useful for you as well. The next part, which I want to emphasize to you, is the author profile wizard. I worked on a project for Scopus Author Profiles a couple of years back, and this is something that we have improved on quite significantly. So it's very straightforward, right? You'll be able to set your preferred name. You can merge profiles. You can add or remove documents. You can update your affiliation. So sometimes you may select your name preference. we'll first and foremost ask you, hey, is this your personal profile or are you submitting the request on behalf of someone else? Then you can edit your profile. You can look for any missing documents. You may also want to remove documents which do not belong to you as well, right? So we want to give you the flexibility to manage this. And then you can also look, it's very simple when you're searching for a missing document. You just need to type in the title, paper article title, the abstract, and then you can add or remove accordingly as well. You can choose the affiliation in which you want to be grouped under, then you confirm and you submit it. So it's very straightforward, right? You can edit your profile, you can look for the Scopus search results page, and you can merge authors. You can also look at the author feedback wizard landing page, or you can consult our FAQ for more information. We talk about collaboration, right? And we talk about topics and how topics are very key for you to be able to do this. So for those of you who are not cert, who like additional information, topics are essentially a collection of documents with a common focus intellectual interests, and we cluster them based on a direct citation analysis. So it's not just only the metadata and the keywords, we also do a very strong clustering profile. This really leverages on big data technology, because they can be large or small, they can be new or old, they can be growing or declining in momentum. New topics will surface, and because they're dynamic, they'll constantly change as well. Within the topic page itself, you can see the author's contribution to the topic based on the volume of documents. You can also see, crucially, what's the field-weighted citation impact. So for those of you who are curious, FWCI essentially is the normalization of the citation performance, where 1 is the global average. So sometimes we know that different topics, for instance, in mathematics, you tend to get less citations, whereas in medicine, you tend to get more citations. You should not be punished or rewarded unfairly just based on the subject differences, because different disciplines will just have different citation behaviors, which is why we compare it to the global average in terms of the citation behavior of the topics itself, right? So a good example would be, say, in medicine, the global average of citations would be 5, whereas in mathematics, it might be 1, right? And it won't be fair because that's just how the subject discipline is like. So we normalize it accordingly. So 1 is the global average. In this case, this author has very strong FWCI in the neutralization in terms of antibodies at 1.69, 69% higher than the global average. For pre-exposure prophylaxis and HIV prevention, his work was 2.20, which is like 120% higher than the global average. So leverage on the FWCI to get a very quick understanding on how the authors, which topics the author is excelling in, so that you can just jump straight into the articles itself, delve into it, see whether or not this author would be a good collaborator for you to partner with, either within Malaysia or Southeast Asia or the rest of the world. You may also want to work together with his or her co-authors as well, because you can see that these are the works that they are mostly working on together with. You can ascertain whether or not they are a good fit for you too. So the author profile is very strong, it's very impactful. I would say this really helps to support your career growth and your development. It's a good guide for researchers to discover, to enhance, and to benefit from their research profile, and is created with authoritative information and expert linking, which is bolstered by metrics as well as analysis. We also look to train researchers to identify potential collaborators and mentors with the citation views, the safe list, alerts, and robust author analysis. You can map the career trajectories of the few subject leaders to inform you of your own goals. We also like to encourage a very strong understanding in terms of research usage and impact with an array of document and author level metrics and indicators, so that you can inform funding, collaboration, publication, assessment, as well as career development strategies as well. We talk a little bit about metrics, right? I would say that there's a lot of metrics that you can leverage on within Scopus to really bolster your author profile, right? In terms of like H-index, in terms of site score. But the one that I want to talk more about will be PlumX metrics, which are article level metrics. PlumX metrics are comprehensive item level metrics, which showcase insights into the way you interact with individual pieces of research output. So all metrics would help you to visualize scholarly engagement, PlumX divides this into 5 key categories, and we are using it to communicate engagement without a score. So 5 different colors, right? Green is for usage, purple is for captures, yellow is for mentions, blue is for social media, and red is for citations. So one key thing is that it's one thing for you to just talk about metrics, right? It's easy to gather metrics, but you want to articulate impact. I think that's the key thing that as a researcher, something that everyone needs to do better on. So for instance, right, you can talk about this is your author, this is your name, you published the work in 2012. There's a title of the journal itself with the DOI. The citations, the Twitter mentions, Mendeley bookmarks, and blog mentions. But these are just numbers, right? You want to see the impact of it. So maybe with your 17 citations, you'll be the top 5% in economics research in Scopus. The international impact, you can be mentioned, bookmarked, or viewed in over 40 countries according to a particular source. But also other metrics will showcase that you have been covered by 10 over other media outlets worldwide, including the BBC and the Wall Street Journal. And it's also recommended in X and Y economics research blogs and has been described in tweets by prominent researchers as a significant step forward in our understanding. So you can see in a snapshot how the storytelling and how the portrayal of your research impact is very drastically different, because now you're able to articulate the impact of your work, right? So I would encourage you to do so. Yeah, please do it, because I think it really makes and showcases yourself and put yourself in a much better and stronger light. I'll also be talking about ORCID today, and ORCID itself is very strong. So ORCID itself would enable transparent and trustworthy connection between researchers, the contributions, and the affiliations by showcasing a unique persistent identifier for researchers to use as they engage in research, scholarship, and innovation activities. So this is done in 3 ways. The ORCID ID is a unique persistent identifier, which is free of charge to researchers that you can set up. There is an ORCID ID record connected to ORCID ID and a set of APIs, as well as the services and the support of communities to enable interoperability between an ORCID record and the member organization, so that you can choose connection of your ID with the affiliation and contributions. So how you can do it and how Elsevier works together with ORCID is that we allow ORCID to import the author identifier, profile, and publications from Scopus. The Scopus to ORCID wizard will help you to find the correct Scopus profile and to confirm which publications are yours. You can then send the identifier and the list of publications to the website, and any changes you make will be submitted to the feedback team to correct your profile on Scopus itself. So it's very straightforward, right? Essentially, what you can do is to distinguish yourself in 3 different steps. What you have to do is just register, use your ORCID ID, and then share your ORCID ID itself. This would be a lot easier for you to do so, and now you're able to maintain your records and your standards in an easier, better way than before. Okay, so I have more information to share with you in the appendix, but rather than me talking the whole time, why don't some of you give me some examples of author profiles that you'd like me to take a look at, and I'll be very happy to run them through with you as well. I mean, alternatively, what I could do is just simply show you the live version, and then I'll address the questions that you may have as well. Let's do it that way, shall we? So first and foremost, I'll go on to Scopus. And then later, what I can do is to go into authors as well as affiliations. So I think let's just walk through affiliations, because there's something which I want to show you. So earlier we mentioned that Scopus is updating itself constantly, right? And we now have a new enhanced version of the organizational profile that you can go into. I would say do that in your own time, because that's quite interesting. But now we can see all the authors which are affiliated over at USM. Let's take a look at Professor Zainuraya. So Prof. Zanaraya has a very strong profile, especially with regards to ceramics, photodetectors, and gate dielectrics, right? She has a H index of 41 USM. We can see this is an OC ID, which is also linked. And then I'm just going to open it in a new tab, and we can see accordingly when we view more. These are the names that and the permutations. We can also see that these are the universities and institutions that she's working in, as well as the subject area, right? In terms of material science and physics and astronomy. We can see these are the documents that she has basically been writing. We can see the highest cited, for instance, this article on growth kinetics, physical properties, and emission mechanisms. We may also want to take a look at the latest work in which she has written as well. In this case, is the effect of thermal annealing on zinc oxide, right? These are some of the examples that you can take a look at when you are looking at an author. You may want to see what's the best work. You can see what's the most highly cited work. You may also want to see what's the latest work as well. So other topics itself, we can select it over here, and we can see that she's very strong in terms of photodetectors and ultraviolet detectors with zinc oxide. When you select this, you can see these are the representative documents that maybe other people should be interested in collaborating with other people. You might be interested in working with them as well. You can also see who are the top authors within this field itself. You can take a look at the key phrase analysis. You may also want to take a look at the author documents, which are very highly prolific and have done well within this subject field itself, right? So this is something I would encourage all of you to delve into. This one here is really interesting. It's about 14 citations, 15 citations with an FWCI of 2.38. So those are actually pretty high. You may want to be interested to find out more about this research article too. We can see over here there are some additional co-authors that she works very closely with. Maybe these are people that you may want to reach out to work with them as well. And we can see over here, these are the number of documents that they have worked on together. So when we take a look at, and when you want to browse and bounce off this author to find out about another author, we can find out that Prof. Haslan itself is also in USM with a H index of 26 for very key topic areas in this sub-subject areas as well. These are some of the ways that you can leverage on Scopus Author Profiles to basically get more information too. Of course, we mentioned earlier that this is something that you can set an alert for yourself, right? So when you set the alert, you can either set a document alert, or you can also set author citation alert, right? And then you can send it to yourself every week on a Wednesday, every month, for instance. This is a good way for you to do so. You may want to save it to your list to monitor it as well. I think all these are very useful, functional ways for you to basically be able to manage your author profile. I really encourage you to take a look at this. For instance, if you're also interested to finding out about your H index and how your H index is calculated, you can simply select this, and then you can find out what's the median count of it, right? So yeah, this is something I think we should be quite interesting. So do any of you have any questions so far? It's been a very quiet group at the moment. Okay, so what's the difference between an author citation alert and a document alert? So document alert is an alert which is sent over when the author has published a new document. The citation alert is when the author's documents has received new citations. So it works both ways. Yeah, one is the latest work, two is where are the latest citations coming from? That's a good question. Okay, so Irfan Mohammed, this is interesting. When you search for your name, everything is correct except the name, except your brother's name has appeared and how it could happen. So I'm not sure. Maybe you can give me an example in terms of the author profile, and then you can share with me in more detail what the problem is. Usually what occurs is that the work which is highlighted would be based on the latest work, which is indexed within Scopus itself. So I need you to give me more examples so that I can probably answer your question. Yeah, so please type them in it. Yes, you can have two I wouldn't say you can put two institutions with regards to your affiliation. Like it usually depends, like if you're seconded to a different university, right, then the latest affiliation will be highlighted in it, right? So that's just really how it works. So for instance, you can see for Prof. Zainaria here, when you select under more, we can see that she was from USM from 2002 to 2003, but then in 2016, she was University of Baghdad, probably for an exchange or a fellowship. This is something that, yeah, you can probably put into details as well. Interesting. Okay, so under Irfan Muhammad, right? Let me try this, right? So I'm not sure why the name that appeared in the profile is Muhammad Irfan Hakimi. That's quite interesting. Let me take a look at the quick search, and then we can get more details with regards to this. Interesting. Sorry, give me 1 second. Interesting. Sorry, can I check? So can I check if the first profile and the second profile, can I trouble you to share with me if there's what's the difference between both profiles? Would you say that in the profile, okay, let's open, they're the same. So correct me if I'm wrong. Okay, wait 1 second. I think what I should do here is that I should allow you to speak. Let me try and allow you to speak in this because I think it'll make more sense. And then we can just make this a bit livelier. All right. Hi, Irfan. You can try unmuting yourself and to see if you can speak.
Hi, Nicholas.
Hello. Hi.
Hi. Thank you for giving your time, and sorry to the other participants. I have tried to use the edit just now. Somehow I got complaint or rather comment from other lecturer in other institution when they try to search my name, Muhammad and Irfan. The name appeared was Muhammad Irfan Hakimi. This actually my brother is Ikhwan Hakimi Muhammad. I have three or four papers with him, but in both profile when you search just now, number 1 and number 2 are my names. So the second one is the correct one, but why the first of the dominant in the under my brother's name?
Okay, so so can I confirm both profiles are actually your profile?
Yes.
Okay, in this case, right, what I would suggest is that you can see from my screen here, I would say that you can request to merge the authors here.
Okay.
Right, so when you merge your authors, right, I would say, okay, so I would say first and foremost, you should create this. I'll let you create this later, but I'll walk you through on how you can do it, right? So you're requesting changes on behalf of someone else, that's what I'm doing, but you can say later, this is your profile, right? So you can now choose the name that you prefer here. So I would suggest that Muhammad Irfan would seem to make the most sense, and you can choose the affiliation, right? So would you want to be Health Campus, Hospital, USM, School of Medical Science, USM, or USM? This is up to you. You can choose what default options that you want to select. And I need to clarify if this 388 documents, they are entirely all yours as well, right? So you also need to check it to be sure about it. Then once all this is done, and I would say that if you have any missing documents, this is when you can add on to this. It's a great chance to do so. Then you can review the request, and then this is how you can do it. And then you can submit the request itself.
Okay, thank you. In the first place, why the thing happened?
So this is probably because it's a disambiguation technology. And I think also at the same time, you did mention that you also were submitting papers with your brother, right? So I think
Yeah.
it just picked up on one of the, maybe it was the first one that you submitted with your brother. I'm not sure, but sometimes it just comes up that way. But either way, we have the technology for you to just change it. So it's not, it probably should not be too big an issue.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, sorry that this happened, but as you know, at the end of the day, when it comes to managing author profiles, it's really more of it's a bit of an art as well. So we won't know what we don't know. At the end of the day, it's up to you to manage your profile because you know exactly what's going on. So yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
No worries. Thank you. Thank you for sharing example. I hope that was quite good. Yeah. So the affiliation is auto-generated by Scopus. You don't need to send the request to change affiliation because you can manage your own profile and you can manage the affiliation itself, right? So I think it's fair to say that for everyone's example here, you're never always going to be 100% correct. But what we can do is that we can give you the options to make the changes that you like to do so without having too much trouble as well. And yes, Ali, you can highlight an old publication, but okay, so when you say an old publication with no publication number, is the publication indexed within Scopus in the first place? So if the article is not indexed in Scopus, but it should have been indexed in Scopus, you can make a request for that publication to be indexed in Scopus, and then you can then add it to your author profile as well. Even if you're the second author, this publication still belongs to you as well, because we don't just add what we call corresponding author, we also include affiliated authors because everyone contributed to that research paper, and therefore it should be recognized and flagged within their profile itself. So hopefully that answers your question as well. Okay, those are some pretty good examples. If any of you have any questions or any outlying experiences that you like to clarify and to check, let me know. Yeah, I'll be happy to just add it into tackle the questions that you have as well. But in the meantime, I would say that for those early career researchers out there, if you want to find out about journals itself, right? If you want to like publish in an Elsevier journal and you don't know which journal to select, we have the Journal Finder, which is a free resource to help you to find journals that are best suited to publish your scientific article. We leverage on the Elsevier fingerprint engine, and we are leveraging on Smart Search to match your articles to Elsevier titles. So all you have to do is just type in your paper title, your abstract, and we'll generate a list of journals where you can refine your search based on, say, site score, impact factor, based on Go open access, subscription, the time to first decision, site score, etc. You can sort the results as well, but crucially, we will also showcase to you data like site score, the impact factor, the acceptance rate, the time to the first decision, the time to publication. So this gives you a very clear idea on whether or not the journal will be a good home for your paper or your manuscript. I will also encourage you to take a look at the Researcher Academy, which is an online platform which takes you through the different phases of the research cycle, from research preparation to the publication process to demonstration of impacts, either to help you within, inside or outside of academia, for you to understand where to get funding for your research, to showcase how you can get your papers to be accepted in top journals, and this is a completely free service. We can see within Researcher Academy, there's multiple pillars that you can reach out to in terms of research preparation, how you can write for research, the publication process, how you can navigate the peer review process, and how you can communicate your research itself. So from our side, from Elsevier, we have a couple of us who will be around to support you. I'm around, my colleague Sander is around. We're both available to support USM whenever necessary. And of course, we also have the Elsevier Malaysia Scopus webinars that you can participate and join as well. The next one, which is coming up in approximately a week's time, will be how you can search and discover for the researcher workflow in Scopus. These are additional workshops on top of the workshops that we have developed for USM. And I look forward to seeing you at these workshops, as well as the USM workshops shortly and later during the year itself. So thank you so much for joining the session. Do me a favor and help me complete the survey that I've attached here. Let me copy this survey for you so that you can just click and assess this from the chat itself. And I would really appreciate it if you can be so kind. But in the meantime, yeah, please let me know if you have any questions that you'd like me to answer. I'll be very happy to take them in the next couple of 5 minutes. Yeah, so you're looking for the journal finder, right? So you just go to journalfinder.elsevier.com, and this is where you can access it. Do play around with this. I actually really like the journal finder. I think it helps and solves many different issues. It gives you a very good idea on as to how you may want to what you should do for your manuscript so that your manuscript can be better accepted as well. So please definitely leverage on this. Yeah. So I'll also put the link for you over here, and then you can take a look at it. The journal finder itself will give you all the information that you'll be looking at. For instance, the site score, the impact factor, the acceptance rate, the time to the first decision, and the time to publication. So this really gives you a very clear idea. And if you want to publish open access, we'll showcase the article publishing charge. If you don't want to publish Go Open Access, you will not incur a publication charge. So this will give you the full information that you probably need to decide whether or not you want to publish in APC or otherwise. All right, we have time for one last question. Does anyone like to have anything that they would like to ask? No worries. Thank you, Encik Musa. Well, if there's no additional questions, I guess I can give you back probably about 5 minutes of your time. But thank you so much for sharing with me your examples. Hopefully, I was able to answer some of your questions. And if anything, I'll look forward to seeing you for the next workshop that we're organizing for USM in a couple of weeks. So in the meantime, do be safe, take care, and I'll see you all soon. Bye-bye.